Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, September 13th, 2021. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. 26 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 404 samples processed on Saturday, September 11, 2021, resulting in a positivity rate of 6.4%. No new recoveries were noted over the reporting period. Meanwhile, 41 new COVID-19 cases were reported from 311 samples processed on Friday, September 10, 2021, resulting in a positivity rate of 13.2%. One local Gamma variant case of the COVID-19 virus was also announced by the authorities in the same news release. The ministry said the sample was from a Vincentian resident who tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 while seeking care on August 14, 2021, and that the patient, an adult, has not been vaccinated against COVID-19. The ministry said contact tracing of the Vincentian resident detected no other COVID-19 positive cases, noting that the case was isolated and has since tested negative for COVID-19. 178 cases are currently active and 12 persons with COVID-19 have died. 2,513 cases of COVID-19 and 2,323 recoveries have been recorded in SVG since March 2020. The health authorities say in view of the confirmed presence of the Delta, Mu and Gamma variants in the community and a significant increase in the number of new infections, transmission and severe COVID-19 disease, strict enforcement and compliance with all protocols and recommendations by everyone is strongly recommended. It was also pointed out that the correct and consistent use of masks, avoidance of crowds, physical distancing, proper hand sanitizing and immunization with available vaccines have all been proven to significantly reduce the risk of being infected, getting sick and or dying from the COVID-19 virus. Prime Minister Dr. Gonzales said the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Environment is taking stock of equipment and supplies that are in place as they look to restock if needed as they prepare for more cases of COVID-19 on island. Speaking on radio on Sunday, the Prime Minister said he has asked for the list and will be guided accordingly.
Ministry of Health, the professionals, in responding to what is happening, preparing themselves for an outbreak, an increase in this country. And therefore, they're doing an inventory. And they sent for me and I raised questions about things which what they have in stock, what they have ordered, and what they need to order more. And I mentioned a number of things in this regard. Ventilators, the question of the provision of oxygen, particular kind of medication, the particular pieces of equipment, the PCR and antigen tests.
PM Gonzales said they are also preparing for any eventuality as body bags and refrigerated containers will also be stocked up.
And among the items were, I said, body bags and refrigerated containers. Obviously, if people are likely to die, you're going to need body bags. And just like in Martinique and Guadeloupe and in Jamaica, you needed refrigerated containers because the mortuary will have the normal number of dead people. But you may need other space depending on what is happening.
With an uptick in COVID-19 infections in the country, Health Promotions Officer Shanika John is encouraging persons to take COVID-19 seriously and keep their bubble very tight. John said while persons are still considering whether to take the COVID-19 vaccine, the only other way they can protect themselves from the virus is by following the protocols.
Whether we think it's real or not, COVID-19 is here. It's here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as it is in all of the other countries. And so the only way that we could really protect ourselves, protect our families, is if we take all the precautionary measures. So if you're listening to me and you're convinced that your masks, your physical distancing, your sanitization are all that you need to stay protected during this time, I want you to do it properly. We're still seeing quite a number of persons without masks. We're still seeing quite a number of persons not wearing their masks properly. And quite a number of persons are recycling dirty masks. And so that is not okay. We're still seeing quite a number of persons not keeping their distance, not maintaining space. At this particular time, you want to keep your bubble and your circle tight.
The health promotion officer is also appealing to citizens to avoid gatherings at this time.
People to avoid gathering, to avoid congregating. This is not the time for you to consider that you want to go out to cool your head, to have a nice time. This is really not the time. And so we're really going to be enforcing the SRNO in terms of the protocol for mass gathering. I'm not appealing, I'm begging this morning, Johnny. I'm begging all our churches, all of the other sectors involved to ensure that there is strict adherence to the protocol. And for those of you who are convinced that, like I said, the mask wearing, the physical distancing and the sanitization is enough, we want you to do it properly. But even those measures have proven that at some point there may be a break-in. So whether you forget to change your mask or you slip your mask just to eat something, etc., the vaccination helps with your body internal protection.
Meanwhile, social activist Cecil Ryan is encouraging Vincentians to get vaccinated. Speaking on SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last evening, Ryan said with the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country, getting vaccinated is one way to help stop the spread of the virus.
Encourage persons who have not yet taken the vaccine to take the vaccine. It helps, it works, it minimizes the probability of you getting the COVID-19 virus and spreading it to others. Some may disagree, but that is the fact. The science has proven to be that. So I want to encourage those listening and watching, please go out and take the vaccine, especially in the context where today, for example, 40 new cases have been reported. The time before it was 30, so clearly the numbers are going up, so it makes sense.
In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Gonzales has thanked nurses for their service during the 4-day industrial action called for by the Public Service Union last week in relation to the amendments to the Public Health Act, which the union said infringes on the rights of members as the changes seek to mandate frontline workers to get vaccinated. Speaking on the matter on the radio yesterday, PM Gonzales said the health services did not suffer as a result of the 4-day industrial action, which he is grateful for.
To thank on behalf of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and my own personal behalf, the tremendous turnout by the nurses and the other supporting staff at the medical facilities, the health facilities, over the 4 days of the quote-unquote withdrawal of service or strike. The services did not suffer, and I want to thank all of them, and I will personally thank them in a different way.
The Prime Minister pointed out that on the day of the protest, Thursday, September 9th, the attendance of nurses on the job was the best.
For instance, in the surgical department on Thursday in the morning shift, 11 were present, none absent. Medical, 8 present, none absent. Pediatric, 4 present, 1 absent. Accident and emergency, 5 present, 0 absent. Operating theater, 9 present, 0 absent. Maternity ward, 6 present, 0 absent. The Argyle Location Center, full attendance. Modern Medical, full attendance. Levi Latham, full attendance. Then if you look at some other areas, radiology, full attendance. Laboratory, 17 present, 1 absent. Physiotherapy, full attendance. Maintenance, this is where Boucher, the president of the union, is. 2 absent, 7 present. Apparently there's 1 person additional to Boucher who didn't turn up.
Prime Minister Gonzales added that even members of the Public Service Union did not withdraw their service.
There was no fall off of any of workers. because they were also called out in support, and you didn't have that. You didn't have absenteeism above the normal, because as Lansford, as a public servant, on any day you will have one or two persons from here and there who would be absent for this or that reason. In fact, at the hospital, there are persons who were on leave who turned up to work.
In a news release, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment provided data on the numbers of nurses who were absent and present on the days of the industrial action. The ministry stated that during the last 2 days in particular, health workers demonstrated their unwavering commitment and solidarity to the delivery of healthcare in SVG. The ministry said records show that the staff of the hospital services provided remarkable and adequate coverage in the various service areas. While there were a few absent registered on some shelves, there was reportedly full attendance in almost all other departments. For his part, President of the Public Service Union, Elroy Boucher, said that he was pleased with the brave public servants, including nurses, who supported the 4-day industrial action in the capital last Thursday, September 9th. Boucher noted that it was based on the request of the nurses that the PSU agreed to take the industrial action. He said last Thursday's protest action in the capital was a success, despite what he claims were fears and persuasion for persons to stay away.
Persons would have been fearful, persons would have been intimidated by even some of the arrests that were taking place over this protestation. So persons had different fear levels and other reasons why they did not even come on the demonstration line. I know some nurses were at home and did not even come on the demonstration line. And many nurses were called, from my understanding, and asked not to. So they were more or less persuaded to go against the very decision that they made. Nevertheless, we are confident that we had a successful demonstration.
Boucher said he was also asked to discontinue with the industrial action, but he stood his ground.
I received many calls trying to dissuade me from going on the demonstration line. I received calls trying to tell me that I must not attend this protest. And even with such pressure, I realized on principle and as a matter of trade union leadership, one has to lead the union when the membership have spoken. So the same how I could have resisted those pressures not to demonstrate, others could have done the same. So for those who came out, we have to be really thankful that they did, and thank them.
And the PSU president said they are looking into matters regarding some members who withdrew their service during the 4-day industrial action. Boucher said that they were recently made aware of the developments and reminded members that they are covered by the law to protest.
I'm also hearing that even those persons who would have taken action and withdraw their services, there are some persons who are being threatened with reprisal. And I want to say that there are a number of conventions that protect the right to strike as a fundamental right. ILO Convention 87 gives that protection. We have protection from the Trade Union Act and the Essential Services Act. And those protections guarantees the right to withdraw services, the right to strike, and protection from any reprisal. So I really do not expect any head of department or anyone to try and punish persons who have withdrawn their service.
Boucher said the union is in the process of writing to the heads of some departments, reminding them of the laws and conventions on which trade unions and their members are guided and protected.
Well, we don't expect any reprisal because of the protection that are guaranteed by the different laws. So maybe persons don't know that. They really don't know. So the union right now is in the process of sending out a letter to certain departments where they know this threat is being issued to indicate to them what are the different conventions that the government have signed on to that guarantees this right and the relevant laws that offers these protection.
Kali John, husband of opposition Senator Siobhan John, was today slapped with 3 charges stemming from an incident which occurred during last Thursday's protest action in capital Kingston. John, a resident of Owia, was charged with resisting arrest, assaulting a police officer, and causing actual bodily harm to a female police officer. The police have also charged Sherry and Kane for obstructing a police officer acting in the due execution of his duty. Kane is alleged to have attempted to free John from a chokehold by the police. Both John and Kane were granted station bail and are expected to appear in court tomorrow morning at 9. They are being represented by lawyers K. Bacchus Batiste and Israel Bruce. Over the weekend, photos and videos have been circulating on social media with persons seen taking a bath in the crater lake of Lasso Freya volcano. On the Iron Lasso Freya volcano program on NBC Radio this morning, lead monitoring scientist Dr. Thomas Christopher commented on this behavior, noting that though it is a thrill-seeking adventure, it is not the wisest thing someone should do at this point. Dr. Christopher asks that persons desist from engaging in this activity at the volcano.
There's still quite a bit of secondary hazards up there that could cause problems for you, because you've got these thick ash layers up there as well.
Right.
It is possible that what we see in the valleys when it rains heavily, where you've got these hot material being exposed, and you get these, like what we call phreatic eruptions, when you expose the hot material to water and it's get flashed to steam. I mean, that could happen easily in the crater at any time if you have heavy rain and you've got the right situation up there. So, you know, it's a thrill-seeking adventure, I understand, but it's not the wisest thing to be doing. So yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense to do something like that. I mean, to be fair, you've done it once. I don't think you need to do it again, because it's the same lake and the same thrill.
The gas specialist elaborated on the dangers of the hot spot that is on the surface of the volcano.
I mean, there are certain situations where you would walk on the material and your feet will sink in, because it's not consolidated as well as it should be as yet. So, you know, you can sink into an area where it's hot and it burns your leg. You get a really nasty burn on your leg, because what we know about this material is it traps heat fairly well. So if you form a thick layer, and then you more or less like seal the top of it with a hard, like a cap,
right?
As the ash does. You know, beneath it is still quite hot, and if you get down into that, then you'll have a problem, because the heat is still quite.
Meanwhile, Dr. Christopher said the seismic activity at Lasso Freya remains low, with a decrease in the gas level. While volcanic activity has been on the decline, there is the continued presence of near-surface hotspots and persistent degassing.
Activities is still low. I sat more or less all day yesterday looking at the volcano, and the gas in the plume is quite weak. There's not as much gas coming out of it as there was a few months ago. So, you know, everything I'm seeing so far still suggests that it's shutting down.
The volcano alert level remains at orange. After 7 years of ministry in his home country, Rev Dr Davis, superintendent of the Kingston Chateaubelair Circuit of the Methodist Church and head of the SVG Christian Council, will be leaving the state to continue service in another Caribbean island. In this report, the outspoken man of the cloth shared what it is like to be of service in SVG with the current political climate, the challenges as a man serving God and making time for family.
Rev Dr Davis, outgoing superintendent of the Kingston to Chateaubelair Circuit of the Methodist Church, will take up ministry in Trinidad and Tobago in 3 months' time. We caught up with the outspoken and no-nonsense Reverend at his home in Richland Park, where he is spending quality time with his family before he leaves the state.
As of the 1st of September, I should have been taking up assignment as superintendent of the Tobago Circuit. But I am still around because, well, I have some family situation to deal with. And so I was granted what is called compassionate leave. So I should be around for about another 3 months.
A farewell for Rev Davis was held at the Methodist Church in Kingstown, where he ministered for most of his 7 years since returning to SVG from Barbados. Rev Davis' personality and charisma made him a beloved man in the church. However, it also had its downside. He has been outspoken about many issues in SVG, especially when it came to biblical principles.
And I think all of us, whether we are Christian or not, know that the minute you try to speak what is truthful, the minute you try to encourage people to do better and right, you're going to have a pushback. And so that is, I think, one of the basic challenges.
As head of the SVG Christian Council for just over a year, Rev Davis said many persons believed he was aligned to the ruling party, but this has never been the case or prevented him from speaking out or standing up for what is right.
Oh, it looked like he has, really sold out and changed. Why? And I suspect because they heard I now became president of the Christian Council, they then assumed, I was, partisan. And that is sad for our country, that people cannot deal with issues, reflect on issues without sizing up your political persuasion. And it's equally sad that a lot of people cannot deal with issues without speaking to them from their political bias. And I think that has been one of the real challenges that I found in ministry in St. Vincent. I said, no man gonna make me go hell. Neither government or opposition. I have always made up my mind, and it's something I preach. I will always, by the grace of God, try to do what's right.
For several years, Rev Davis served in Guyana and Barbados. He said he gave up his life to God at a young age, and his main goal is to serve God in truth and not only in words, but actions. The Methodist minister has 2 daughters and praised his wife for being of tremendous help in balancing their church and family life.
Shortly after I got married, my wife got upset with me because I don't think she liked how I put it. But I effectively said I would not have chosen her. It's God who chose her for me. And I was making the point that, I have really been blessed because she has been such an amazing support and partner in ministry in a way that I didn't see. I really thank God for her and the way in which she has managed the challenges and been a tremendous support. And naturally, it wouldn't be easy for her and the children. But I think they've done fantastic.
Reflecting on being of service to his fellow Vincentians, Rev Davis said, while there are some people who do not like his stance on life principles, he is grateful for the majority and who recognize his contributions and teachings. His hope is that Vincentians genuinely seek and fear God. As he leaves his homeland for Tobago, Rev Davis said one thing he will carry with him is his passion for serving God. For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pogsley-Kidd.
Well, we do wish him all the best. In other news, 9 SVG Coast Guard officers have completed the basic seaman's training with the Regional Security Service RSS. They were trained over the last 5 weeks in more than 20 areas that will enable them to better navigate the seas. Coast Officer William Tibbles said that the participants did exceptionally well, with most of them receiving a high pass rate.
In academics, able seaman Gould with an average of 91%. Practical, which include helmsmanship, handcuffing, and knots and splices. CJA Charles, 89.5%. Practical navigation, CJA Charles, 100%. Rules of the road, AB Martin, 96%. Physical training, AB Gould, 88.3%. The course overall average, 82.4%. Overall, the basic seamanship course was successful due to the open-mindedness, patience, positive attitude of the students. The instructors spent long hours setting up and creating practical training aids with limited tools and equipment, ensuring that all students were provided with the best instruction possible.
Regional Maritime Officer with the RSS, Lieutenant Rolrick Sobers, said that the training the officers receive are the foundation of the job and they should continue with their professional development. He noted that the SVG Coast Guard stands to benefit greatly from the skills of the new batch of trained seamen.
Whether you're working on base in the yacht room, or on one of the small boats, or on the larger OPV platform. You're therefore encouraged to pay particular attention to the areas that would have been mentioned by your course officer, which form the very basis of your training. General seamanship and navigation. You have to be able to, whether you're out 15, 20, 30 miles offshore in your exclusive economic zone, or whether you're in the coastal waters, which is equally, or matter of fact, which is more important, because you have a lot of small islands, bays, and keys, and it could be fairly easy to run aground. And the cost of repairing a boat or replacing a boat these days is extraordinary.
A one-week security course was also completed by some officers, which was held jointly with the Seamen Training. Assistant Commissioner of Police Leonard Fergus lauded the officers and encouraged them to put the training to good use.
And I am glad that you would have received some basic training in a number of different areas that can enhance your own personal development, how you interact with the public, how you do your job generally. That is very important. So I want you to continue to work hard. The journey has now begun. I want you to continue to work hard and to continue to accept and do this training, which can only enhance yourself, the department, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines on a whole.
Executive Officer of the Carnival Development Corporation, the CDC, along with other persons in the entertainment industry, shared fond memories of the late Trevor Lockhart, aka Winston Soso, at his funeral service on Saturday. Winston Soso, deemed as one of SVG's greatest soca and calypso artists, died on Sunday, July 18th at age 69 from complications of kidney failure. The tributes at his funeral speak volumes of the beloved musical icon.
Was embarking on a musical career which would span 4 decades. Who really knew that this great Vincentian composer, singer, and entertainer, seemingly without much effort, would create hit songs?
The legacy of this brother, Sus. Special condolences to his mother, sisters, all his children and extended family, his friends, and all his fans. I wish I could take credit for discovering this treasure when he became a member of the group back in 1969. But Sus was already crooning out soulful ballads and R&B songs at shows, still at a very tender age, a teenager at Lyric Cinema with the slum mates backing him up.
Apart from the exceptional quality and timelessness of his records, he was the consummate professional, always prepared, always delivered. At this moment, I can't help but remember those words he imparted to me while we stood on the sidewalk in Brooklyn, New York, under a tree waiting for rehearsals.
It was before he even asked me what time and when. He was ready, free of charge, of course. There are so many great instances and experiences that I can talk about with Sus. But it will take all afternoon. And if you will sit and listen, I don't mind. He will surely be missed, and of course, his music will live on.
Minister of Tourism and Culture, Carlos James, who was also in attendance at the memorial service, spoke highly of the late cultural ambassador.
It will take a man great skill and talent and creativity to stand in front of a stage, in front of tens of thousands of people in a spandex. And that was the creativity of Sus. Many of you remember and recall his time in the stadium we call Victoria Park. His lyrics, his composition, the way in which he flowed over the rhythms of composers whom he worked with over the years, you can tell that he was a man who was gifted.